Greetings, everyone. And thank you again for tuning in to the Phenomenal Reflections podcast. And what we're going to do today, we're going to talk about a lot of different things. We're going to go ahead and dive right in that you're tuned in to listen for. But as this progresses on, I'm going to announce this is season one and this is episode three. And the title of this podcast for today is going to be called The Importance of Healthy Relationships. Now, I know this can be a very, kind of thin line that some people don't really comprehend. So today, myself, phenomenal, what I'm going to do is explain to you some things about importance of having a healthy relationship. Now, growing up, my father died at an early age. I was around about 7 or 8 years old. So, within that time of me having the brain to memorize everything, I could say I was probably about three, maybe four-ish. And I could remember my mother and my father were married. I'm not convincing anybody to get married. That's not what we're here for. We're here for to talk about relationships. And relationships sometimes can be with your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, even your cousins. And it doesn't matter. But the topic at hand, we're going to talk about the importance of healthy relationships. Now, as I was saying, growing up, my mother and my father were married, and he died at an early age. I was around the age that I was around, and I did remember them being married, but I also do remember them being a part of domestic violence as well. And I know a lot of you probably tune in like, come on, let's dive into the meat and the potatoes. But we have to walk this thing down so we can understand everything that we're talking about. We can't just dive into the abuse part and boom, he abused me or she abused me right now. We're going to cover everything so you can be able to understand and know that you are in a domestic violence situation. Okay, so my mom and my father married themselves at an early age and produced two children. So instilled in me, I've always had that example of far as I can remember that my mother and my father were married and in a relationship. Were they in a healthy relationship the whole time? I can't, it was a part of domestic violence, was a part of their relationship. Maybe earlier on, before I was conceived, they probably were. But nevertheless, we're going to go ahead and keep talking about the conversation. So they made it so we can see an example, but we also saw the abuse too. I don't think that was my father's intentions on letting us see that, because a lot of times the abuse would happen behind closed doors and we wouldn't know, but we would hear. But we was too young, or sometimes we would be playing, outside or whatever the case may be. So we don't really know. We just thinking probably mom and dad probably having a disagreement, not really understanding or comprehending what was going on. So that's why a lot of things was hidden from us as well. So in the relationship wise, as I got older, I started to learn certain things that happened, and I really learned through watching the things in my mom. So watching the things that in her from the time that I knew my dad, and as times progresses on, I start to say, now I know, why my mom act a certain way she act. And I'm not saying act the way she act to be abused. What I'm saying is act the way she act different that causes a change. So I begin to understand that. So in order to have a healthy relationship, you got to be able to discuss things. You got to be able to build blocks of healthy relationships. You got to be able to build these relationships and provide tips, you know, to each other. You got to be able to communicate. And how do you know, I should say, you in a healthy relationship? First of all, first things first. And I don't try to, really go hard on my women, but I know a lot of times that women are a part of, guys or men growing up, that you are the nurturer. So have a tendency of talking more to women more than I do to men. That's not to say that discredited that you do not count, because you do count. I just like I said again, women are you got to admit, the essential thing in the household. So I have a tendency to talk to women, and a lot of times when men and women get together, and you can ask a guy, he can really tell you whatever my wife say or whatever my woman say. So that's why I'm gonna kind of talk to women. I'm not, and this can apply to men too. So I'm not gonna take you out of the equation because I want you to be noticed as well. So when you're in a healthy relationship, you can decrease stress. You're quicker to heal with other things that not pertaining to relationship. But if you're not careful, some of those things, anxiety, depression, can spill over into the relationship. But with domestic violence, you got to already have that thing deep down in you. I'm just gonna really be honest with you. And when I say deep down, it's something you've seen beforehand. So you have to learn how to heal from those things. And just because I've seen my parents be, a domestic violent person, I choose to break a cycle or not, be a part of that. But nevertheless, within healthy relationships, you will have high self-esteem, emotional support. Again, like I said, low anxiety and depression. You can also have a good lifestyle, better health. You can also live a longer life, and you can also know how to communicate and do that effectively. Now, some people, they just don't really know how to communicate. I'm gonna really be honest, and that's just with themselves. They just want to be snappy or whatever. But we talking about healthy relationships. So as I was going over what I'm going to be able to present, I was kind of thinking and talking with my ancestors. I said, "Oh, what am I going to talk about? What am I going?" So the thing that resonated with me ended up being a greater sense of purpose and meaning. Now, with a healthy relationship, a lot of times people don't even know their purpose. They don't even know why they're here. And when you don't know that, all you doing is waking up, going to work, if you have children, providing for your children, and if you have a husband or boyfriend, you're cooking or whatever, but you still haven't found your purpose. And I'm going to be quite honest with you. I didn't really find my purpose until I got in my late 30s. And even with that, after I found out what my purpose was, I kind of struggled with the purpose because I'm like, now, what are we doing? Talking within myself and resonating themselves. I'm like, what are we doing here now? Like, are we gonna move forward with this purpose, or are we just gonna continue to wake up and say, "Hey, thank God for the day, thank God for health and strength, and feed the kids and go to work or whatever." So, are we gonna continue to do that, or are we gonna walk within our purpose? So, in order to find your purpose, here's what I would suggest for you to do. I would suggest for you to take time out with yourself. And I'm not talking about, oh, I want to find my purpose. I want to sit with my aunt, my uncle. I want to sit with my partner, my spouse. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about sitting within yourself and resonating with yourself, especially as melanated beings. Um, Once you sit within yourself and know yourself and begin to talk to yourself, and just because, and I push this to a lot of people that I kind of mentor to, that growing up, you always talk, if you talk to yourself, you're crazy. No, sometimes I have to talk to myself to bring myself to, because there's nobody else. There's nobody else to push me forward, or a lot of times I'm not, ready for that space of someone else being in my space. So you got to know the purpose. You got to know your purpose and walk within your divine self. And you have to sit down and you have to ask yourself, what is my purpose? What am I called to do? And I'm not talking about my purpose is to be married and have children. No, that's not your purpose. That's not your purpose at all. Because if you're not careful with that thing will spilled over to I'm just married and now I'm just a doormat. And then you don't want to do that. So again, you have to know what is your purpose. Don't get in a relationship unless you have your divine purpose. Let me say that again. Do not get in your purpose unless, now hear me again, do not get in a relationship if you have not figured out what is your divine purpose. So once you find out what your divine purpose is, that's something you're gonna have to do within yourself, or whatever resonate with you. You're gonna have to do that and sit alone with yourself, and you figure out what is my purpose, God. What is my purpose? And a lot of time, I'm gonna be honest with you too. Within myself, I'm gonna be honest. I got to be transparent. I couldn't figure out what my purpose was, and I kept asking and asking and asking and asking. And I'm telling you guys, I'm asking for a couple of years because I hadn't gotten it yet. It wasn't sinking in. I was getting it, but I wasn't getting it. If that makes sense to you, it wasn't sinking in. I couldn't figure it out. So once I found out my purpose, and even finding out my purpose again, sorry to say, it took me a couple of years to even walk within my purpose. So I had to figure out how am I going to be able to mash all this in together and be able to take care of my children as well, and be able to focus on what it is I need to focus on within my purpose and the things that within my household. And I like to reference something that I like to tell everybody that I encounter with, especially women, when they feel that they don't know their purpose. I always like to go to um, the episode on Good Time. Now, the episode on Good Time, if I'm not mistaken, I'm thinking it's season 2, episode 1. Um, Florida, she wanted to do something within herself. She couldn't find her purpose. Only thing she knew is, like I said, she wake up every day, she cooked, she cleaned, whatever she needed to do within the household, but she didn't have anything for herself. So as she began to, do that, this thing of a purpose began to rise up in her. So she had a conversation with James, and she told James, I don't know what it is that I'm doing here. And so James said to her, well, you're only good for, and she was like, James, you better not say it. You better not say it, James. You better not say it. So James said to her, the women purpose are only for the kitchen and in the bedroom. Let me say that again. James said to her, a woman purpose is in the kitchen and in the bedroom. Now, I know some of you are going to be like, I know James didn't. Just go back to the episode of Good Times on season 2, episode 1. And so Florida got so upset. So Rolona came over and she had a conversation with Rolona. And Rolona told her, well, Florida, since you're going through this, let's go to the women's circle. And for me, this is why it's so important that we have the community evolving with women, because we don't know our purpose, or we can't find our purpose. And me and y'all don't know y'all purpose either. So y'all need somebody that's out in the community as well. Y'all not exempt from this at all. So again, so James told her, I'm sorry, I said James. I meant to say Rolona told her, let's go and go to this women's circle. She was like, I don't want to go to no women's circle. Same thing as Florida was ashamed about the food stamps as well. So she went. And when she went to the women's circle, even then she was like, I really don't want to. I really don't want to deal with this. I really don't want to go in, Rolanda. Well, I was like, oh, come on, we talk about different things. So as she began to sit down within the circle, she began to listen to all the other women tell their side of the story. And when they tell, everybody had a chance, an opportunity to tell everything that they needed to say. And when it came to Florida, it resonated with her. If you watch this season really, really well, you will see Florida embraced herself because she felt the energy of the women of what was bothering her. So as she began to sit there, and Florida like kind of side eye, like, "No, I brought you here, at this thing, and I can't believe you ain't got nothing to say, girl. You ain't got nothing to say at all." So as she went on, she move on. So Florida begins to open up, and she said what it is. And when she said what it is, I can't quite remember the elder lady that was there, and that's the one that always cries all the time. So she told her, "I bet James said to you, women are only good in the kitchen and in the bedroom." When I tell you this episode changed my whole perspective, not only that it was an episode of teaching and probably laughter or whatever, but if you go back and watch the things that we watched up in growing up within the childhood, you will see that some of those things were very, very meaningful. You just got to think outside the box and see the bigger picture that they were trying to paint. So she said, "No, it's nothing bother me. It's nothing bother me." So again, so when Florida left the session, because she ended up getting up, running out of the session, and as she began to ran out of the session, Florida looking like, "Okay, ladies, we're gone." So she gets to the house, and then she talks to James, and that's when that conversation that I explained to you in the beginning came up, and she said that she was having an attitude once she got back. Again, this is very, very important of having a healthy relationship. When Florida got back home, she knew she had to cook dinner. Florida began to get those pots and pans. She could begin to slam. She slammed the refrigerator, and she slammed the door. She also slammed the pot on the stove. Now the kids came in making some type of noise, and they was like, "Yeah, let's just leave Mama alone," because we all know how Mama gets when things get kind of crazy, or she get kind of frustrated, right? We all know that. So moving forward, and as she began to prepare for dinner, she told James, I was at the circle, and not only did I thought that wasn't nothing bothering me, I realized something wrong with me. So that's when James began to say it, and she knew the connection with the energy. She knew that James, what he was going to say, because the elder lady that was in the community already knew what was going on and had already told her that. So when she felt that James was going to say that, she looked up at James and she said, "You better not say it. You better not say it." So when she said that to James, James tightened that belt up, and James said, "I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it." And James said, "I'm just telling you, Florida, women are only good for the kitchen and the bedroom, the kitchen and the bedroom." So she began to explain to him why she went to the women's circle, because all of her life, all she had was just James. She didn't have anything else. And as women, a lot of time we will soak ourselves within the one that we love and not pay attention to ourselves and kind of neglect ourselves. And we got to break that generational cycle of that, because our people didn't have what we have in front of us now. So we need to set the tone for the next generation, so the next generation will be able to pull from our story and say, "Hey, my mama, my dad, my aunt, my grandma, my uncle, everybody was great." We don't have generations of trauma. We don't have generations of neglect. We don't have generations of, "Oh, let's sweep that under the rug." Oh, we don't have generations where we can't speak if something going on in the home. We are allowed to say, "Hey, something is bothering me." We are changing that. So that's kind of what I'm here for. So after you begin to understand the healthy relationship, begin to understand your divine purpose. So as you do that, it's important for you to communicate with people. Now, I'm not the one big on introvert and extrovert. And here's my reason why. Because I feel like everything is for a purpose. I feel like here's the thing that separate them. With introverts, they like to sit to themselves. They don't like people to this is and third. And extrovert, they are sociable people. So for me, people that say that they're introvert, they like to be with themselves. First thing first, they are traumatized. Let me say that again. First things first. People that are introverts are traumatized by people, and they have some type of coping mechanism to sit within themselves by themselves and never to communicate. Now, this universe was created for people. So, but with that being said, and with that in mind, you got to understand this universe is full of people. Then, if you can't understand people is going to be here, then why are you here? Because this is something that we're here to communicate with each other, teach each other, learn from each other, grow from each other, just like a seed, grows up to be a plant. It has to communicate with the root. It has to communicate with the dirt. It has to communicate with the water. It has to communicate with the sun. You see what I'm going with this? So you have to communicate with people. So, introverts are people that like to shut themselves down, and they've been burnt by people so much they hold whatever mechanism they have far as coping with it deep within inside, and they just run with it. So it's very, very important that you have a healthy relationship. And when you do that, and I'm gonna be honest, a lot of introverts that I ran into, a lot of them have depression and anxiety. I'm just gonna be brutally honest with you. A lot of those people have anxiety and depression. So in order to fix this, again, find your divine purpose. Find it. And if you're 30 or older, you need to do that really, really soon. You should stop within your late 20s. I understand that you'll be partying or whatever, and you're doing what you do. But it's important that you know earlier on. So healthy relationship. I love to see our melanated people married for extensive times. I'm not saying that these relationships don't comes with tests and trials. I'm not saying that it don't come with a test, because it does. But that test does not define the whole relationship as being unhealthy. It does not. It does not do that. So understanding a healthy relationship comes from people that's already healed. And quite honest, you have to do the work. There's no way around that. I can't do it for you, and I can't want it. It's bad for you than you want for yourself, because it doesn't work that way. You can pray, but prayer without actions involved, then you're doing yourself harm. You're not helping yourself. You just praying, and the words just going up. But I do want to, before I forget, I do want to put out there the next month, which is October. And in October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and the color is purple. The awareness started back in October 1981, which is in the Day of Unity. If you have watched the intro video, you will see that I do have a small clip within showing you that domestic violence is a day of unity, and we all need to be united. As we progress on, we're going to talk about a lot of different conversation. This conversation of healthy relationship is definitely, I feel, within myself, is going to continue on to a next episode. I definitely feel that. And I also want to put out there to you, if you know someone, or if someone is dealing with domestic violence, you can also call the 1-800 hotline. That's 799-7233. Again, the National Domestic Violence Hotline is 1-800-799-7233. Now, if you're out there in your LGBT community, you can also reach out to the Trevor Project, and their number is 1-866-488-7386. And this is for the LGBT community and the youth. Now, if you are a teen adult and a young adult, everything is going to be confidential and anonymous. You can reach out to Love is Respect, which is 1-866-331-9474. Now, if you want to tell your story, and I'm going to be brutally honest with you, I would share your story, but I would definitely not put your name out there. That's not what I'm here to do. Because whoever shared their story, I'm pretty sure they're gonna be tuning and listening. So you'll be able to hear feedback, people call in, people that's gonna comment. You'll be able to see all of that. Send your information into me at Phenomenal Reflections, and that's reflections with an S on the end, 2024 at gmail.com. If you want to call in as we progress on to the show, it's 901 501 5456. And again, that number is 901 501 5456. And if you just want to add a topic, or if you just want to just send something to me, just email me. I'm not turning down any email of information that somebody wants to share because, again, like I said on in the earlier episode, a lot of times people don't have a voice that they can be able to speak because of people. I'm going to really be honest with you. With domestic violence, a lot of people tend to have shame, and they're only shame of because our people don't take nothing serious. I'm gonna really be honest with you. And growing up, a lot of things were swept under the rug. A lot of my ancestors, or not non-ancestors, knew of things that were going on, and they allowed it. And when I say allowed it, I'm not saying that they directly was in it. It's just they knew about it and didn't speak upon it. And that's the problem that I have, within the community. If you know something, speak. It's not considered you a snitch. We trying to help people, heal people. We're not trying to degrade them or down them. That's not what we do. We all got to lock hands in with each other, and continue to grow. And let me say this: these elderly people being domestic violence too. I watched the video, and I saw some stuff, and I said, wait a minute now. Wait. How is the elderly being abused? No. So again, like I said, we're gonna progress on. We're gonna talk about different topics, because within domestic violence, there are so many umbrellas, signs, symptoms, wonders, everything: physical, emotional, sexual, economic, psychological, all of that is within the domestic violence. And sometimes, have you ever, as my grandma would say, have you ever met a fool? And I'm talking about FOOL. And sometimes they are abusive, their dad is abusive, and their dad is abusive. Like, wait a minute now. What is really going on? But again, like I said, we did not have the things that we have now back then in those times. So moving forward, we want to try to change that. We don't want that. We're not doing it anymore. We're stepping out and we're speaking up about domestic violence. And I want to share your story. I do. I am here for that. This is what I'm here to do. Now, I just want to encourage you to continue listening to the podcast. I want to encourage you to tune in every Friday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. And I am available at the current moment on YouTube, Spotify, and also StreamYard. Again, I'm available on all those platforms. Make sure you like, share, follow, comment. You can even get the number or the email address and send it to somebody you know, or just share it. That's all I need you to do is share it. I'm not asking for anything. I'm not even taking donations. But I don't know where my ancestors is going to lead me, like I said yesterday in the show. I don't know if they're going to be able to, if they want me to house, domestic violence victims. I don't know. But whatever they want, I'm here for them to use me as their disposable. So I love talking to you guys, and I enjoyed this show today. And please understand, healthy relationships is very, very important. It's very important for women to have relationship with their mothers. It's important for women to have relationships with their father, and vice versa. Males, men, you should definitely have a relationship with your father. Now, if you do not have an active father in your life, this is where the community come in as a whole. This is where a community come in as a whole. I was telling a young lady the other day, and she couldn't understand why her son was in such rage that he was in. He was already enraged because his father had passed away. That was one thing. And, becoming into a young man, I did not fault her. I told her that it's okay, but her job is to reach out to men within the community and ring that bell and ring that alarm. This is what is nothing wrong with you saying, "Hey, I have a problem." There's nothing wrong with that. I don't know where we got lost at in the sauce with that, because if you have a problem, you have a problem. Everybody hear me. So I told her she should reach out to men within the community. Now, I'm not talking about men that stand on the corner. I'm not talking about men that ask for handout. I'm not talking about men that like to be with women and only receive certain benefits. Let me just leave that there. So I'm talking about men that are stand-up guys in the community that's willing to help. And it could be an uncle, cousin, anybody. If you know they get up and go to work every day and provide for their family, take care of their children, and I don't some stuff, then that's who you definitely need to reach out to. As we say, solid. Definitely reach out to them. So it's nothing wrong with that. I'm not gonna deem you for that. Especially if we family, I should extend that olive branch to you to help you with your child. Because a lot of those men have the tendency, again, growing up in abusive relationship or being the abuser, because they don't have men in front of them. They don't have examples in front of them. They don't see nothing prolific to positivity. They don't. They don't see nothing to positivity. All they see is videos. All they see is pants sagging. All of that. So I'm not here to shame you, but I am here to tell you the truth. Because what would I be on here sitting up on this microphone lying to you? What that's gonna get me? So it's important that these young men are active in whichever way that they want to be. If they want to be on a basketball, football, track, I don't care what, positive that they want to do. Take time out for your children, because what you don't know what you're doing, you're growing and raising young men into grown men to be something. And you don't want that to hurt another woman, and another woman should be your sister. So why would I raise a child up to hurt one of my sister, one of my sister children, one of my uncle children? Why would I do that? So you help setting the community up for failure. So you have to take accountability for what's in front of you. You have to take accountability for your offspring. You have to do that. And I know some people, it's hard to say, yeah, it was me. I did it. It's hard to do that. Why? Again, it goes back to the examples that they were seeing in the things that they were taught. So understand things now. Understand domestic violence. Understand the things that you contribute to the community. So it's very important that we all stick together. It's very important that I hold your hand and get you through this trying time. It's important to me. So, as I begin to close out this episode 3, I'm going to tell you that I love you. You are not alone. You are not alone. I'm going to continue to love you. I'm reaching out my hand to you. Whatever you need me for, reach out. Reach out to me, you know? And I'm going to try to protect you in every way that I can. I'm going to do that. Again, I don't have any housing available. I'm here to teach you. Open up some of those wounds. Heal from those wounds. Because what you would do is walk around with a band-aid on a scar that never been healed. And every time you change that band-aid, you're offended. Every time you change that band-aid, it still hurt, it's still sore. But what do? Continue to put the band-aid over the sore, wanting it to be healed. And it is not being healed. So with that being said, again, I am Phenomenal Mindy. I am the founder and the host of the Domestic Fridays. And thank you for tuning in and listening to what I have to say about domestic violence. See you on the next episode.